The broker works for the client. It doesn't work for the lender.
Every application is completely different. Every business is completely different. And even if they seem similar in some way, shape or form, there's so much different that it keeps me so entertained every day as well, which is great for me. Missed payments and 2 declined applications on the credit file. The credit score dropped so low that what the client went from being potentially an 8% car loan client to a 22% personal loan client.
Wow.
We have a client at the moment who has only just paid back what COVID cost him. So for the last 6 years, he hasn't made a cent.
First question people always ask us, right? What's the interest rate? I don't know. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. Like, how old are you? What do you do for work? Do you have money? Do you have a house? Do you have savings? Have you had loans before? Are you in business or do you have a job?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crafting a Business podcast. I'm super excited to have my guests here, Julie and Andy. They are from Inigma Finance. If anyone knows anything about me, you guys know numbers are not my strong suit. But I really want to deep dive into your story and how you came to be and how the business has grown to where it is now. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having us.
Yeah, super excited. So tell me about your background. Let me start with you, Julie. What is your background?
Yeah.
How did you end up being a broker?
I've been in equipment finance for about 21 years. I've done different spin-offs and different roles and different aspects of that, usually sitting on the side of the lender. And then when I wanted to have some kids, I went and did some retail banking for a while, which was a great experience as well. Absolutely loved that. And then when I didn't want to go and spend my days back in the branch because my kids were still at home, I wanted to find something to do that essentially took my background into my house where I could work from home. And brokering was the natural answer. So that's where it sort of all began.
Okay. And then you said you worked in retail. So, okay, for anyone who doesn't know banking, i.e. me, what is
Retail banking.
Retail banking
is
all the
So commercial equipment finance, and what I did, funnily enough, predominantly what I did when I first started in this was IT finance and tech finance for companies. So everything from I need $5,000 worth of stuff to just get a business started in my house, through to working with schools and government departments and all of their asset fleets and things like that. So all of the finance and the back end admin that gets those computers on your desk when you're actually at work. So I worked and did a lot of that stuff. And when I went into retail banking, that's branch land. So that's the people that are literally there and greet you when you walk in. So I was a banker in the branches, and then I became a bank manager and learned all of the auditing backgrounds of all of that. So I had a very big experience from sales and support and credit and operations and systems when it came to the lending side. So I know how it's running in the back end. And then I went and sold it on the front end in the branches and worked with clients face to face, and which I love. If you can't tell already, I love a good chat. So I loved being physically present with the clients every day and meeting new people every day. So branch land was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And I still pop in and see my my old branches from time to time and my old colleagues I keep in touch with. So, but I think the reason that naturally brokering came after that is because I got to play in lending, which I'm a massive dork for the math in lending. So if you ever want some help there, I'm your girl. But a massive dork for how lending works and the back end and the contracts and the math and the credit element. And then obviously love a chat, love talking with people in businesses and helping businesses grow. So it was in that it sort of all naturally came together that brokering just made sense. And I think one of my favorite things about it is that every client is completely different. Every application is completely different. Every business is completely different. And even if they seem similar in some way, shape or form, there's so much different that it keeps me so entertained every day as well, which is great for me.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And Andy, what is your background? I think it's completely different.
My background is completely different, yes. I spent 20 years in hospitality. I owned and operated 5 hospitality venues, sort of lower North Shore, Northern Beaches. This sort of landed on me a little while ago. Was given a pretty unique opportunity to get into it. I sort of had a pretty an understanding of it from the background as being a client. And like Julie, I enjoy a chat. And we have we enjoy a problem solve. You know, we like when clients come to us with a challenge, and it just sort of fits because all of my stuff was always challenging. So we had that along the way. So it gave us that opportunity. So
love it. And how did you guys come to be business partners? How did that happen?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to throw my 2 cents in on that. So I suppose the company we were working in gave us both great insight to a whole bunch of different ways that you can run this business, because not only did we get to see how they'd done it over the years, but we also got to work with other businesses through them and see how everybody was sort of doing these things. And like Andy said, it is very much an element of our age. We're both, I suppose, millennials, but like the eldest of them. And so we've got that great, when it comes to business, we're both hands-on and paper and phone calls as much as we're AI, tech and text messages. So we seem to be able to cross over both paths and both ways of doing business. And it was something that we related heavily on. And when both of us ended up finishing up within this previous business, we were both looking into these next steps and both wanting to go out and do exactly what we're doing. And just in chatting, it just made sense to do it together. Yeah. And apart from the fact that like we do get on reasonably well, it does help.
It does help. Yeah. But I wanted to, kind of ask because obviously, Andy, you've taken a different pathway to get to here. But what elements and what skills have you learnt from your hospitality background that like comes to the surface when you're doing broking?
Lots. I think the main thing that I've always found ever since we got into broking was so many clients don't understand that, and whether it's hospitality, whether it's construction, civil, it doesn't matter. So many clients don't understand that A, there are brokers available to them, B, that the broker actually works for them, right? And that you don't have to put your house on the line for some funding. And I think on top of that, people have an idea that somehow finance is only for people who are in trouble or need it, and that's not the case at all. And we deal with a lot of companies that come to us for finance because of the growth required, and I think that's the main one of the main things I've learned out of where I was in hospitality and running businesses with big staff and big revenue to then be on this side of the page to go. It's not a terrifying thing to ring a broker and have a conversation. And I think that's that focus that the broker works for the client. It doesn't work for the lender. And so tell the broker things. Tell them what's the problem or tell them what you want to do, because they're the ones who are going to be able to help you move forward.
And I think having that conversation and having it's a little bit scary for me to share things about my bank statements and all of that stuff, right? Yeah. And you feel like someone's looking under the hood a little bit. What are you going to find? Are you going to judge me? That type of thing. But I think with your background in the hospitality, you're used to reading people and customer service and understanding where they are. So I can see how the two, while they seem not related, are.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, it's also about relationships. And I think one of the things that I came out of hospitality, obviously it's customer focused and it's service driven, but where we've both brought that into this business, where it's the client is the priority. You wrap your client in cotton wool, and
PR team for the client.
Absolutely. And we want the clients to be open and honest about anything, good, bad, or in between. And there's no judgment on our side. We've seen everything, believe me. And that's how it works.
Okay, I love that. And Julie, I want to ask, like your background in the banking, not the lending space, the branch space.
Yeah.
how does that come into play in your day-to-day today? Like, what do you see in the commercial, in that finance space that make you think that there was a better way to do this, like?
I suppose, I was very spoiled in the branches I worked for. I worked for really good people, and I was always had the opportunity to learn more, ask more questions. I was never shut down for asking more. So the way in which I've always done business is if I don't know the answer, I'll ask and I'll find out, because I can't let it go, and I just want to know how to fix it. So if a client came into the bank and wanted something, say they wanted a credit card, and the branch would just put through a basic application through their systems review. It's all done through algorithms, that would review their bank statements very quickly. There's very, very low human touch. The banker puts in some basics, answers some questions for compliance, and then pops it through. And if there was a stop, if there was a point in which the bank or the system said, not going ahead, I always wanted to know why. Now, I always say the banks are only as good as the bankers that you sit with. And I stand by that. Banks are all, they've all got great elements about them, but if you find yourself a good banker, don't let them go, because it is through hunting down the back offices and calling the different teams and understanding how things works that you can actually get those things escalated or understood. I won't say who the bank was, but we had a client recently, for example, who had refinanced their home loan, and they went into the branch. They spoke to the lender. The lender said, no problem, happy to help. For as far as lending is concerned, we would call them vanilla. Great employment history, great savings, great bank statement, great equity, tick, 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 could afford their life in spades, doing well. And in going to the lender gave them some interesting advice to put their home loan on hold. That affected their credit file. Now, the bank wrote the loan, did the mortgage, fine. The client thinks, perfect, doesn't affect me, I'm fine, until they wanted a car. When they went to the bank to get the car, the bank reviewed the credit. The missed payments, not on hold payments, but missed payments had dropped the credit score so far that the application was declined. Bank, savings, home loan, all with the bank, application declined. Rather than the banker hunting down the answer and the solution and finding out why, they moved to the next department who said, well, let's try again. Put through another application, the second application's declined. Now we've got missed payments and 2 declined applications on the credit file. The credit score dropped so low that what the client went from being potentially an 8% car loan client or a 7% car loan client to a 22% personal loan client.
Wow.
Now, so what I've learned out of retail banking is that ultimately there is not always incentive for the bank to follow through and make sure that you're getting the absolute best deal. But you know what? Not only is your broker incentivized to do it, because obviously you'll come back, but they're obligated to do it. It's actually it's the law that your broker has to do that for you. You learn that the limitations within the people are limited by what incentivizes them to actually escalate your problem. And that can quite often be what stops you at the bank. The only other thing I'll say on that is that knowing how the banks work and knowing what happens in banking land can also help you to massage an application through to the right location. Clients that have a great banking relationship with their bank also then have opportunities to borrow easier in their business. And so having a knowledge of that also will help you do wonderful things for your clients really easily and at great rates, and really doing things in a really non-complicated way from a management perspective. So everything's all in the same spot when you log in and you can see your payments coming out and all that jazz. So there's those elements as well. But to be honest, I loved retail banking, absolutely loved it. And if I could pick up my kids and do it from home, I would. But the limitations are a bit frustrating.
Yeah, but I think it's that insight too, like only because you've worked in the other side of the banking lens, I guess, you could see on this side from a client's point of view.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And understanding those nuances about it, which no one, not every person can do.
Well, that's true. That's true. I have been blessed to have a lot of different experiences across the different elements of banking. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you guys have had obviously, Andy, with your hospitality background, being on the other side of the desk, if you will, as a small business owner, and I know Julie's husband has his own business as well.
Yep.
What's that like? Like when you have a client that comes to you, like, do you understand them more? Because
100%. You can
Tell me about
hear, you mentioned earlier about when clients, when you hand over your bank statements, you feel like someone's looking under the hood. People are like that with their business. They're ashamed of their downturns or their hiccups that happen. And it's like, it's every business, especially now. The economy over the last 6 years has been insane. And if you haven't had some hiccup along the way, bravo, because I reckon about 80% of us have. And they're ongoing. And I think that's, I had a conversation just this week about how someone said COVID was like 5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, but the aftermath, the hangover, that's right. That still continues. It continues in margins and it continues in tax debt and it continues in all these different ways and it still affects people and they're embarrassed.
We have a client at the moment who has only just paid back what COVID cost him. So for the last 6 years, he hasn't made a cent. So that's the COVID hangover that we talk about.
That's right.
Because it's very common. Like a lot of businesses are going through it. Like every business, well, maybe not every business, but huge amounts of businesses are going through it, especially in the SME space, massively going through it.
I think that, and there also needs to be an understanding that there are things that are out of our control. Right?
Well, that was completely out of all of our control.
All out of our control, right?
Yeah. No one expected that.
You can't plan for something like COVID or Iran or you can't plan for these things. And these things take a massive toll on small business. And for some reason, small business always seems to think that they're the only one doing it and don't tell anyone. Like, how embarrassing. And I suppose it's I relate it to like when you're talking with a family after hours and they're like keeping the kids quiet and one of my kids interrupts and they go, oh, thank God you're like me. And they relax and you can almost hear their shoulders drop. Talking about having been in small business does the same thing because people, the second that they know you've done it and you've seen it and you're not sitting there getting your salary each week going, oh, no, I don't understand. What's this tax bill? Just pay your bills. Like, it doesn't work that way. Cash flow is a crazy thing that changes daily. Oh, well, I mean, cash flow in your space was...
Oh, it was daily.
Crazy.
Yeah. It was insane. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's that understanding, and the understanding that you guys have been there and you understand all the nuances of it, and your expectations also that you don't place those extra expectations of perfectionism and, because we're all human in this, right? And I think that's that's how you show up for clients, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So then tell me, when a small business owner does come to you, for example, and they think they know what they need, right? But you can see other opportunities, you can see other ways of, doing something for them that could easily help them. How do you manage that with them? Like, how do you talk them through that? Yeah.
I suppose the first thing we do is we never really make an assumption when a client first has a conversation with us. The first thing that we'll do is just have a good old chat. The best thing that we can ever do for you is actually just get to know you first before we make any assumptions. And don't get me wrong, sometimes they do know what they need and they've done it before. And you want a car, you want it in the business, you want a quick chattel mortgage, bang, 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 done, done, done. But when it comes to, we had a client recently who we've been working on a larger facility to look after all of their assets as they buy them. And they said at one point we were going to repay do a bit of a capital raise out of some of their equipment that didn't have a loan on it, raise some funds, repay some of the debt that they had incurred previously that was expensive to pay back. And so we're going to raise some funds on their assets with a lender and we're working on that. And they said to us, should we just get a quick cash flow loan? And we said,
no, stop.
No. And the reason we did that is I suppose, there's so many ads out there and you, of course, you do some research but if you're structuring things with the big picture in mind, that's when you can do a significantly better job for the client. So people, by all means, they always have ideas in their mind. They have ideas. Someone said to us the other day, I think they were going to get the car finance for 6% or something, which is mortgage money. We're like, okay, mate, if you can do it, credit to you. Off you go. People always have some kind of understanding or think that they've done some research before they engage with us. and sometimes 100% they're right. But we will do a significantly better job by just understanding them. And like I said, in that instance, we had found a better long-term solution to get rid of an expensive loan they already had, get rid of something that was costing them more money, put them into a product that worked better with their accountant for their assets, and coach them through a long-term plan that looked better for in 2 years' time when we needed more. So that's the other thing. There's always those future plans. Doing something quick and easy now doesn't always equate to doing the best thing for your business in 2, 3, 5, 7 years' time. If you can plan ahead and understand the financial goals of your client, you will do a significantly better job up front. Yeah.
So does that mean like you look at the entire picture? Like
always.
Yeah. So even if they come in for a car loan, for example, asking questions around other parts of the business and all that stuff. Yeah.
100% every time.
Because that's why we get to know the client.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, they might be coming in for a car loan, but then because they build some kind of relationship with us, they will open up and talk to us about more things with regard to either the business or what they're looking to do, what they'd like to do. And we can sit there and we're happy to, we deal with clients on a long-term basis. So we're happy to talk about something with a client that might not be happening until, for another 12 months.
Yeah.
That's fine, but we have a clear plan of how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
There's other parts of that as well. I was just thinking the client I spoke to yesterday who's got a pre-approval for their mortgage and was talking about getting a car loan. And I'm like, that's fine. All great stuff. Haven't found the house yet. It's only a pre-approval for the mortgage. They wanted to take some of their savings to put it in the car, and they wanted to pay off the loan in a shorter period of time. And I said, whoa, you've got long-term plans here, and someone else has done a lot of work into preparing for it, and we don't know whether were they relying on those savings you want to put into the car as a part of the house deposit? Or when it came to the payments coming out, is that going to chew into the money they're relying on for you to be able to pay the mortgage? We need to make sure, we may not work in the mortgage space, but there's financial goals that sit outside of borrowing. And if part of those financial goals are affected by something we're doing, we need to talk about it now. Because something I did, if I ate up his savings and then put him into an expensive loan, his mortgage broker's calling me in 3 months' time going, what have you done?
Yeah.
They can't buy. They can't afford anything now.
Yeah.
And we've got to undo it all, which is significantly harder, of course, after the fact. So I first thing I did, of course, for that client was, let's talk to your mortgage broker. We need to understand what the goals were for him and how it affects what we're doing now, and vice versa.
Is that normal practice? Like to talk to a mortgage broker or an accountant?
It's a scary concept.
Yeah.
It's a scary concept because sometimes mortgage brokers do car finance.
Yeah.
And so in doing that for that client, have I just lost my client? Maybe. I also know, though, we had a client recently who we put an application in for, and we got to the lender, and the lender said, another broker's done this. First thing we did was call the client and said, we don't steal business. Go back to your broker. We're not in the market of taking clients and disrespecting our industry and disrespecting other brokers who have already put in the legwork and done something. We don't operate that way. So if we have a mortgage broker partner who refers us business, we protect that partner and we refer back to them whenever their client comes and speaks to us about something that steps in their territory, we go back.
Is that let's think about the industry here. is it normal for that practice, or is it dog eat dog, or is it
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
bit of both? Okay.
Yeah,
Sadly.
so it's a bit of both.
Yeah. There's there definitely can be brokers, for lack of a better way, shitting on other brokers just to get by. But then again, there's also a lot of people that are respectful of each other in the industry, and we have another. It's another broker who actually helps us with some of our cars. He does his own work, and we're just good mates. And we've got friends in the West that we catch up with regularly just for coffee, just to share stories and run ideas past each other, and friends in the city that we catch up with as well. And we've, it's not a small industry. We've got a lot of friends in the industry as well. And not every broker operates that way, but sadly, some of them do. Yeah.
And my understanding is that you have a lot of different clients across all different industries. So like construction, fleet, hospitality more. Are there any common patterns that you see, even though the industries are completely different?
I suppose we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? Where there can be a mentality in hospitality. Andy was saying that, so it's not across all industries, but there's a hospitality mentality of you don't finance unless it's Silver Chef.
Effectively, yeah, we do want to say it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Effectively, people in hospitality genuinely believe the only way they're going to get finance is through, it's a company called Silver Chef, which serves a very good purpose. And it is a great product. There's absolutely no question about it. But they have a limit. They will only go to a certain level.
They have a certain product that's not always
Exactly,
the product that you want in every asset.
It's cut and dry, exactly. And it's a tick box sort of thing where there are so many more, and I think we touched on this at the start, where there's so many more options available to people if they just picked up the phone. And we're not scary. We love a chat, and that's that idea. Whether it's us or another broker, like call the broker and say this is what we're interested. And I think that's probably to say what you were asking before would be just pick up the phone and ask, because it can't hurt. And you might learn something along the way.
Yeah. And so talk to me about that communication too, because and this is my own personal kind of experience, right? I've spoken to a lot of people in the finance industry, and sometimes like I call them and I'm like, I need this question. I feel judged, first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is they either don't get back to me quickly or, they send me off and read more information, which I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Like it's not very personable. Yeah. But you guys don't strike me as that type of...
we're not like that at all.
No.
So like,
Okay.
if we can't find if we don't know the answer, we'll find out. We are probably what you'd call over-communicators. Again, we love chat, and there's no level of judgment for us. We want to do the best thing we can do for the client. And I think that's our main focus.
And I suppose we're also aware we live and breathe this every day, and not everyone does. Like I couldn't do what you do to save myself. And I'm aware of that. So when it comes to your industry, I would just ask the question. But for some reason, there's this judgment on our industry where people think that they're expected to know how it all works. And one of the first things we do, first question people always ask us, right? What's the interest rate? Well, I don't know. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. Like how old are you? What do you do for work? Do you have money? Do you have a house? Do you have savings? Have you had loans before? Are you in business or do you have a job? Do you own 16 cars? Have you had loans that you've never paid back? Do you move around all over the country and change jobs every 2 weeks? Do you have 50 businesses, 49 of which have closed down and gone under? Tell me who you are, because the interest rate can be anywhere from 7%
the interest rate is purely based on the client profile.
47%.
So that's why the more information we can gather from the client, honestly, that's where we can build a profile together. But you get people ringing up all the time saying, what's your best rate?
Yeah, that's it. But that comes from a lack of knowledge about our industry. It is what everyone's programmed to do. And just going back to my retail banking experience, there is still a mentality of people that think that the way to get a home loan is to walk in and talk to the bank manager. And that's because their fathers told them to do that, and their grandmothers told them to do that, and that's what they've been told to do. And people aren't taught this, and they don't know this. And I suppose the biggest difference with us is that the first thing we start with is understanding you and understanding your knowledge. And the amount of times I've said, have you heard of a balloon? Do you know what that is? And people say, no idea. Okay, that's fine. Let me teach you. Let me give you an understanding. It's not hard. I think we're pretty good at the education piece. We've looked after a lot of younger crew, and we talk to them about, do you understand what a base rate and a client rate is? No. Well, that's what the dealership will tell you, a base rate, and they won't tell you that there's a client rate until the paperwork comes and you're like, hang on a sec, I didn't agree to this. And understanding how that all works. I'm not ashamed of it. We earn money out of what we do, of course. Otherwise, why would we be in business? But I suppose that education piece helps people understand that ask us. There's lots that you don't know, and that's completely okay. Do you do this for a living? If you did, fine, you would have less questions, but it's okay to not know how we do what we do. That's all right, ask us. And I've got a phone date with a young fella on Saturday, helping him buy his car.
And I think touching base on what you're saying there, I think the other thing that sort of maybe differentiates us is, obviously, I've come out of a 7-day-a-week business, so answering the phone on a Sunday was never an issue for me. So we also there's nothing worse than ringing someone you need to know the answer to or whatever, and you feel like you're being rushed and you're inconveniencing that person. That you don't feel like that, right? So we hope to obviously make it not feel like that, because I quite often, so does Julie, answer the phone on the weekend, answer the phone. I mean, we've been on the phone to clients at 9:00 at night. And we want the client to ring. You know, if it's a curly situation or they're nervous about something or whatever, call. We'll talk you through it. And that's the idea. We're available. And if we don't answer, they always know we'll call them back. You know, and there's always a text message. There's always, we'll call you back in 2 secs.
Love it. Love it. So I want to talk about the bigger picture though. I mean, across all industries, AI is a hot topic, obviously. And it's changing a lot of industries, including financial services. Where do you see it having the most impact in this space, in the broking space? And what do you think it actually can't replace?
It's never going to replace our little chit chat.
Yeah.
And the entertainment out of our banter.
Oh, exactly.
It's not going to replace. No, that's the thing. And I think we use AI daily. We use AI for meeting summaries. We use it for Eddie, take note.
Yeah.
It's the best PA you ever had. You know, so we don't use it to replace our capability to think. We use it to collate our thoughts and put things into a structured format because clearly we jump around 15 different subjects at any given moment. But within our industry, AI is actually doing some wonderful things, and it's not replacing lenders and it's not replacing brokers. What it is doing is enabling brokers to see more options for you and see a bigger picture in our space. And so, you know, lenders change things daily in some cases, especially in the current economy. Things change overnight. Every time the interest rates change across 16 different products at any given lender. And we have 40 odd lenders on our panel. So yes, it's our job obviously to know what those lenders all do, but having AI in place and having great tech in place allows for us to do a faster and better job for our clients. And so we're big tech adopters. I love, well, Andy's coming around, but I'm a tech girl, and I love AI. I use AI for recipes and shopping lists and birthday party planning and organizing my social calendar, as well as using it to say, help me put together this submission based on all these factors about my client, and I'll just talk about my client, and it will collate my client information. And it is an amazing tool when adopted correctly and safely and within privacy rights and all the jazz that needs to come with that, of course. But AI will do wonders in this space. I think it is those that are fearful of it that will fall behind.
Did you see, and this is, you know, because it's my element, but Claude, Anthropic, just released a small business suite of agents that you could use. I think it was only a couple of days ago. And one of those is compiling like a profit and loss statement, or looking at your statements and like seeing where the money's going, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
First question is, that's a bit scary because you're giving away your private data, right? But that just shows where AI is going.
Yeah, that's right. And they're adopting it into all sorts of accounting software. There's accounting software being advertised at the moment that does all of these things for your business. And I suppose a lot of those software companies that are adopting it are finding ways to utilize it. But like I said, if you're not on board, you're just falling behind right now, right?
I think it's a learning. You don't have to take it on, and you don't have to like learn you don't have to be an expert in it.
No.
But a working knowledge of it, I think, is key.
100%.
Yeah. So tell me about future. Like, where do you think this business is going to go in the next? What's the short-term plan, medium-term plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, thank you.
My hand's getting sore.
We would like to see the business, obviously, well, we are seeing the business growing pretty considerably. We'd like to be having at least 2 to 3 extra team members with us by the end of the year, which we see likely at that stage. And then moving forward, a sustained growth over the next 5 years would be amazing. We don't want it to be what I used to deal with. We don't want 60, 70 people. That's mad. It's also not necessary. But I think we'd probably like to get to the stage where we've got 8 to 10 brokers with us. But obviously that's a big commitment for us, because the people we'd like to attract to be part of the business have to be a bit like us. So
Mental.
Yeah, a little bit mental, but in a good way, you know what I mean? So we want to really, we want to have that, the same level that we bring to the business and our clients. We want our team members to offer that as well. So that's a massive focus for us.
That's really important for us.
Yeah, exactly.
The culture has to
and
be
to have that level
yeah.
where
Yeah.
if the client's calling either Julie or myself or one of the team, they're still getting that same service.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be one of us that answers the phone.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our biggest focus.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And if I, say for example, somebody comes to you and, in any facet of lending and all of that, what are the 3 things that you kind of wish that you could pass to them through osmosis? You know what I mean? Like, what are the things that you wish that they would knew before they came to you?
Don't be scared of your broker.
100% ring.
First and
Just
foremost, call and say hello. Call and say, I was thinking about doing this. Just we like. I mean, I think we've said it about 17 times, but we love a chat. We love a chat. There's one of our clients, and Andy, speak daily, just to see how everything's going and make sure that the business is on the right path. Don't be scared of your broker. Call and have a chat. The more your broker knows about your business and your daily runnings, one, takes time off the initial phone call of what am I helping with? But 2, we'll do a significantly better job and we'll spot things before you even realise you need to use us. So don't be scared of your broker is probably the biggest one, I would say. And that goes acrost the board.
Use your broker as an asset. And it's always very, very, it's interesting to see most brokers have a bit of a network of either other brokers, mortgage brokers, accountants, anything you can possibly imagine. And we've got those relationships because we deal with those people, the mortgage brokers, the accountants and all these regularly. So, the amount of times people will call us and say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. And we're not in the resi space. So we then sit there and say to the client, well, hey, look, we'll talk to this person. I'll give them a brief. We'll give them, use the broker as the asset because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so that's tip number 1.
Yeah.
Tip number 2. How about
tip number 2? I suppose comes back to that interest rate question. It's if I could do it just for my own sanity, it's always going to happen. People are always going to be. It's going to be the first question. What's the best rate you can give us right now? It's like, mate, let me do my job first, and then let me quote you because it depends. Do you want a chattel mortgage? Do you want a mortgage for your house? Do you want a second mortgage for your house? Do you want a cash flow loan? Do you want a 6-month cash flow loan or do you want a 5-year cash flow loan? Do you want a loan on a coffee maker? Or perhaps you want a loan on a car? Or maybe you want a loan on a hot air balloon, correct. There was one company once upon a time, I remember there was finance for a horse treadmill.
Wow.
Can't remember the interest rate on that. So
horse treadmill. I didn't even know they existed.
I know. I remember that. I've never let that one go. But I suppose, and straight off the back of don't be scared of your broker would be, please just appreciate that it's not a cut and dry system. You don't walk in and get money and money costs 6% and that's what you have it for. Every scenario is different. Every client is different. Every asset is different. And please just tell us what it is that you want first before you ask us what's our rate. That would probably be and that's just for my sanity.
Yep, love it. Okay.
Last question. What do you reckon? Last
tip.
Be careful shopping your broker.
Oh, yes.
So it sometimes I potentially shop the personality and maybe check some reviews online and whatnot.
Get a referral from a
Get
friend.
a referral, exactly as someone else used them. But be careful shopping it through or using multiple brokers at the same time. Like Julie touched on before, if we find out there's another broker involved, we walk away. But
you can do significant damage.
To your credit file. So if there's more than one broker working on it, there's more than one application going in and they don't know about each other, there can be 2 hits to your credit file. And that's not always a good idea. So be honest with your broker, and talk to them. Like I said, use the broker as the asset. Don't be scared to call your broker. But if you don't get along with your broker, find another broker.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to look at it. But yeah, don't shop your broker. It can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much gold in there. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. If people want to get in contact with you, and maybe they just want to call to have a chat about,
Anytime.
any questions.
Yeah.
How do they find you?
On our website, enigmafinance.com.au. That's Enigma with an I. Or on our 1300 number, which is 1300 818 164.
Amazing.
I'll make sure one of us.
Amazing. I'll make sure all those details are in the show notes. But thank you so much for your time and for sharing all your knowledge. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Deb.